Hello, my name is Moritz Schubert and welcome to my talk The BCIBO model, uses in VR and parameter choices. Due to time constraints, I'll be giving a highly simplified explanation of the model. The BCIBO model tries to model body ownership. Body ownership is the experience of a body as one's own. It's highly relevant to the field of VR, because in many VR scenarios, the user inhabits a virtual avatar and is supposed to feel ownership over said avatar. BCIBO stands for Bayesian Causal Inference of Body Ownership Model. Bayesian refers to Bayesian statistics, which is a mathematically rigorous way of updating existing knowledge through data. Causal inference is a process of inferring the causes of events based on their effects. We as humans experience these effects in the form of sensory input. Bayesian causal inference models pose that whenever we experience two different types of sensory input at the same time, we tend to conclude that all of this sensory input was caused by a single entity. And finally, body ownership we've already talked about. This is a graphical representation of the model. I should stress that it was formulated for ownership over a single hand, but can, in principle, be extended towards the whole body. When inhabiting an avatar in VR, we have two relevant types of sensory input: the visual input from the virtual avatar and the proprioceptive input from our real body. Proprioception refers to our inherent sense of the position of our body parts. According to the BCIBO model, if a person maps their proprioceptive input onto an artificial object, such as a virtual avatar, they begin experiencing ownership over said object. But how does this remapping come about? Upon being faced with said visual and proprioceptive input, the user could come to two different conclusions. For one, they could believe there are two separate causes, meaning that the virtual body causes the visual input and the real body causes the proprioceptive input. In this case, they would think of the virtual body as a sort of visual overlay above their real body and not experience ownership over it. The alternative conclusion is that there is a common cause to the visual and proprioceptive input. In this case, the user maps the proprioceptive input onto the visual input and begins experiencing the virtual body as their own body. If the visual and proprioceptive input are in synchrony with each other, this is strong evidence for a common cause. This is the case when the motion capture data is displayed in VR with minimal lag. It is important to note here that vision has a much higher precision than proprioception. This is why the user maps proprioception onto vision and not the other way around. They trust their vision more than their proprioception when trying to decide whether the virtual or real body is the common cause. Whenever we want to update our knowledge using Bayesian statistics, we first have to codify said knowledge in the form of a prior, which is a probability distribution over the quantity of interest. In the case of the BCIBO model, one of the priors is the participant's estimation for the location of their body before putting on the HMD. The model's authors used a normal distribution with a, quote, very large standard deviation for this prior. Their aim was to flatten the normal distribution to the point that it resembled a uniform distribution, meaning they wanted to mathematically represent the presumption that the participant has no idea where their body could be at the beginning of the experiment. The standard deviation they used for the normal distribution is 10 to the power of 29 kilometers, an unimaginably large number. To put it into perspective, this is larger than the estimated diameter of the observable universe. Admittedly, with this astronomically wide prior, the model works quite well when predicting results that have been observed in previous experiments. But since we are not only trying to predict, but also explain human behavior here, I think we should choose parameter settings that are plausible within the context of the human mind. Trying to modify the model so that it fulfills both of these objectives is the main focus of my current research. For now, I want to conclude by saying that while I think that the BCIBO model is a valuable first step towards an algorithmic explanation of embodiment, it is psychologically implausible in its current form and in need of revision. Thank you for your attention.